account of what happened in the storming of the Golden Temple, I would like to put your hands together, close your eyes, and bring that scene before yourself where the Golden Temple was being attacked on the 5th or the 1st of June. Let's put your hands together, ਅੱਖਾਂ ਬੰਦ ਕਰਕੇ ਖੁਦ ਦੀ ਸਾਂਝ ਪਾਈਏ। ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ। That's more like it. Sukhbir Singh is now going to give you a accounted detail what happened on the entrance to the Golden Temple. Sukhbir Singh.
ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕਾ ਖਾਲਸਾ, ਵਾਹਿਗੁਰੂ ਜੀ ਕੀ ਫਤਿਹ। The reason that we're here today is the reason that we've come year after year, 27 years now, and that's because of what happened in Punjab in 1984. It's important to realise that what happened that day wasn't something which came out of the blue, it wasn't something which just seemed to happen. The story that we get, what we're told, what we believe, or what some people believe, the majority of people believe, is that there were terrorists hiding in the Golden Temple. And these terrorists were killing people in Punjab. It was a sectarian problem. It was a question of communalism between Sikhs and Hindus. And the leader, supposedly, of this group was a gentleman by the name of Sant Janel Singh Ji Bhindranwale. The truth is very, very different. There are many who believe that the commemoration of Blue Star and the acknowledgement by the Khalsa Panth as a whole of these fine martyrs is something that we should shy away from. The current Prime Minister of India, Mr. Manmohan, recently said that we should forget, that it's not important anymore. He said something along the lines of, or akin to, there are shops, there are businesses being run outside of India by people who have a vested interest in keeping this issue alive. That's a lie. The reason this issue is alive is because of what has happened since then. There has been no effort on the Indian government to try and change or to try and put right what was done wrong then. In fact, they've added insult to injury by continuously condemning the Sikhs for what happened. It is strange that if we look on the fascist websites of groups like the VHP, the Shiv Sena, the Bajrang Dal, they'll have pictures there of our shaheeds like Bhai Mani Singh, and they'll have a caption underneath which says something along the lines of Sikhs should never forget. It's right, we shouldn't. We should never forget. But it's not for some fascist organisation to tell us about our history and about what happened to us 300 years ago. And if it did happen, which it did 300 years ago, why do the same websites not talk about what happened to us in the past 3 decades? Why are there not pictures of the charred and burnt bodies of Sikhs on the websites of the Bajrang and VHP and Shiv Sena and the other Dals which exist in India? Is the only difference that one set of persecutors happened to be Muslim and now the recent perpetrators were Hindu? It's not about religion. It was never about Sikhs and Hindus. This was about a woman who continued, as India has since 1947, to impose or to work towards what India's primary goal is. And that is a state where Hindutva, a Hindu state, where the central religion is Hinduism, where the main language is Hindi. They cannot stand to see minorities, especially like the Sikhs, who small in number still make huge contributions, not just to Indian history, but to world history. And they've managed to do it because of their belief that they are a nation. The shaheeds that gave their life in 1984, they were human beings just like me and you. They had the same wants, desires, loves in life, a peaceful home, a family, success, tranquility, all the things that each one of us want. How many people are there that want to give up their life today, go out, live in jungles, in fear of their death, day in, day out, and eventually pay the ultimate sacrifice for what they believe in? There are very few people that want to do that. And those people, had they had any other way of moving forward, would not have sought to do that themselves. But they had something which we lack, a lot of us lack, I lack, which is a true love. A true love for justice, a true love for righteousness, for dharma. That's what they had, and that's what allowed them to place their hand on their palm and walk out. And those Sikhs from our own community who say we should forget 27 years, he was saying it 20 years ago, we should forget, it's too long. They lack that, never. You're right, never forget. Never forget 84, never forget 84. Because they didn't lack that love, which is lost in us. Occasionally we don't have it, many of us don't. But we've got to be very, very careful that we don't allow that voice, their opinion, to become the prevailing one within the Sikh community. I remember the attack in 1984. I was quite young at the time. I was about 11 or 12 years old. And I remember what happened in the aftermath. I remember the assassination of Indira Gandhi in 1984 in October. It was actually Halloween apt. But I remember that, and I remember going to the school the next day, and I was actually handing out Mars bars. Seems like an odd thing to some people that don't understand, but there was a feeling of righteous justice. Justice had been done. We would have preferred to have had Indira Gandhi put on trial, to face her crimes and to go through the right and just process. In India, you don't get that opportunity. But I just remembered, it came back to my mind in the light of the recent killing of Osama bin Laden, when we saw scenes of jubilation in New York, in Times Square. And I remember what was said to me by one of my teachers at school when I was handing out these Mars bars. She said, "Why are you doing that?" I said, "Well, what's happened is a very bad woman, somebody who has the blood of thousands on her hands, who was responsible for the sacrilege of our most holy shrine, she's been killed." And the teacher turned to me and she said, "That's terribly morbid. That's something which isn't right." And I didn't really have an answer at the time. I was a young kid, I didn't quite know what to say, but seeing those scenes of jubilation in Times Square, it reminded me, actually, this isn't about being civilized or not civilized, this is about when it affects you. So the Americans felt justified to be able to jump, to scream, to say they're happy that Osama bin Laden's been killed. If we're to look at the statistics of the thing, Indira Gandhi, far more deaths are certainly on her hands than were on the hands of Osama bin Laden. So we shouldn't feel bad, we shouldn't feel wrong for coming here year on year, and we should take every opportunity to reveal India for what it is. The justification for Operation Blue Star has been numerous. As I said, firstly, the first point being that Sant Bhindranwale was there were terrorists in there. People from our own community, I've heard them say, well, you know, the Harmandir Sahib was fortified. He shouldn't have done that, it was the wrong thing to do. But it wasn't the wrong thing to do, because if that was the pretext on which India, the Indian government or the Indian army was willing to attack Harmandir Sahib, what about the other Gurdwara? What about the 70 plus other Gurdwara that were attacked? What about the Gurdwara that were burnt and razed to the ground in Delhi in 1984 in November? None of those were fortified. None of those had apparently terrorists inside them. That didn't stop them being attacked, and that did not stop them being razed to the ground. The truth of the matter is, India has a plan for the Sikhs. It has an idea of what a Sikh should look like. It's something which you can see in recent Bollywood movies. It's something that you can see in the soap operas, which many people in families are looking to watch these days. There is a type of Sikh. He's amorphous. He's not a real Sikh. He's not Sikh in the way that we see. The flowing beard, taking Amrit, all of these things are not in India's plan. India's plan wants to see a Sikh who puts India first and his religion second. And that can never be the case. outside of India, we have a special job, if you will. We've been given something. We've been given the ability to live in a democracy, a true democracy, where votes aren't bought and sold on the whims of whoever wants to stay in power, but a democracy that allows for the rule of law. We have a free media, which allows us to gather in a place like here and for that to be reported properly. We have to, for the sake of those that are left in India, raise our voices so that the world should find out and know what the true story is of Blue Star. A recent BBC documentary was, to my mind, a complete hash, and the bias was very, very plain throughout. Without pointing at particular people, it's neither one person that's responsible for these sorts of things. The bias is endemic, it's part and parcel of the people that make these sorts of programs. The problem is we have people who are very young, who may not know exactly what went on, and you repeat a lie often enough, it becomes a truth. So the idea that terrorists were hiding in the Golden Temple, the idea that terrorists were going around killing Hindus indiscriminately across Punjab, all these things are going to be taken as fact, and in years to come people will look back and say, well, yeah, that was the background of this, and it's not true. The majority of people that were killed in the run-up to 1984 to the attack on the Golden Temple were of themselves Sikh. The media in Punjab that was being incited to create hatred was being driven by Delhi. Men like Lala Jagat Narayan and other editors of Arya Samajist newspapers in Jalandhar and elsewhere in Punjab were being told to incite hatred against the Sikhs. I've taken more time than I should have, but I hope and pray that every year we come here, year in, year out, and one year, it's my sincere hope, as much as it is the hope of probably, and I assume everybody else here, that one day we'll come here and on this screen there'll be a live link, and it'll be a live link to Punjab, to Amritsar, and there'll be a Nishan Sahib, and there'll be Panj Pyare, and there will be the laying of the foundation stone of Khalistan. Khalistan!
Khalsa ji, You've heard from Sukhbir why 84 took place. We are going to briefly look at the carnage that took place after that, in November, the 1st of November. Also the same year, 84. This number 84, when you hear it sometimes, get a bit of a thrill go down your back. It's one of those numbers, when we think about it, we think about the innocents that were butchered by the Indian authorities, by the so-called our own homeland. I'm only going to raise 2 points. In 7 minutes, we can't really do justice to the whole of the 1984 episode. For us, it's a mark in history that we can never really put to bed. The first thing I want to highlight is Bhai Byan Singh. Bhai Byan Singh witnessed the destruction caused by the Indian armed forces. What he witnessed moved him. He was a liberal Sikh before then. But after seeing the destruction, he thought, you know what? A liberal Sikh has no place in India. You have to be a Sikh of the Guru. And that is when he took in his mind that I'm going to take justice for the crimes committed against my people. Bhai Byan Singh, in connection with Bhai Satwant Singh, both bodyguards of Indira Gandhi, made a pact that we are going to take this sever of the band and punish the guilty, which they did. Even now before your eyes, how many guilty people have been punished by the Indian regime? Who have been seen red-handed committing murders? None. The Mara says, Chukar aaj mahir te darbudasht, halal yastan, ma shamshir dast. And when the means of justice, peaceful means are found, that is when the Khalsa raises the sword, not before. Bhai Byan Singh, Satwant Singh, with the connection of Bhai Kher Singh, assassinated Indira Gandhi on the 1st of June, 1st of November. What comes after that was unexpected for the Sikhs all over India. Not only Sikhs were targeted for the fact that they were Sikhs, but this gave them an example to assassinate them absolutely all over India. 130 cities, including Delhi, were attacked where Sikhs got butchered. I'm going to highlight one case of those thousands that were murdered mercilessly by the Indian mobs. His his name is Bhai Bibi Satwinder Kaur. She now lives in the widow's colony. If any of you seen it, go on the website, on YouTube and see it. She says, my father was first. Sorry. She said, my father came home from his work. He said there was a mob up in Delhi assassinating, killing Sikhs. Nobody expected the mob to turn up to their area. They just thought it was a confined thing in Delhi. But he was wrong. Hours later, the local Gurdwara was in flames. The local Sangat of our area, the Logpuri, thought, let's go and protect our Gurdwara. As we made way to our Gurdwara, the police stopped us and they said, go back home. So we did. This was our mistake. We were sitting ducks, waiting for the mobs to come to our homes. Soon, the wooden door of our home was broken down. My father was first. They took him out of the house, started beating him with an iron rod. They then blindfolded him with his own turban, poured kerosene over his face and body and lit the match. My father was screaming and agony and rolling around in the dust. They then came for my brother, who was 14 years old. My mother begged them to release him, not to harm him. They dragged my mother and my brother both out onto the street. My brother's face, the same ordeal as my father, with a burning tire around his neck. My mother tried to intervene again. 5 men took my mother to one side of the house and gang raped her until she was unconscious. My mother-in-law saw this. She went to the aid of my mother. The mob didn't even have any mercy on her. and broke my grandmother's arm and knee. They said to us, leave now or we will now kill the children. When they were burning my father, they said, Tuman, tumne hamari maa ko mara hai, hum tumko marenge. You killed our mother, we're gonna kill you. They were putting tires around necks of Sikhs and torturing them before the slaughter. They were saying, Dekho, Sardar kaise naach raha hai. Look how the Sikh Sardars are dancing with a burning tire around their neck. We hid in the wilderness for 3 nights and 2 days until the military came in and we felt safe. That's all I'll say about this case. But this was faced by Sikhs all over Delhi, all over India. Have no qualms about that in your mind. The last thing I'm going to do is going to compare the death of Mahatma Gandhi. As we all know, Mahatma Gandhi was the father of the Indian nation. He was the pillar, apparently. We give 90% of death for the independence of India, and Mahatma Gandhi gets the award of father of the nation. Mahatma Gandhi was murdered on January the 30th of January 1948. He was killed by a Hindu Brahmin, Nathuram Godse. When Nathuram Godse assassinated Mahatma Gandhi, there was no riots. There was no massacre, murders of any Hindu Brahmins. Why? Because Nathuram was a Hindu himself. This simple fact highlights 2 things. One, they do not respect us as equal people as themselves. That's the first. Otherwise, we would not face the same backlash when Indira Gandhi died. But we did. And secondly, they would never ever allow us to wear our dastana, to live our views and our values where we want to live them. The simple fact proves Sikhs are not on the same path as the Hindus, nor are any other minority in India. Muslims in Gujarat, Christians in Orissa. How can we expect in such a country to survive? And the last thing I want to say, Khalsaji, even today, 27 years later, we are still finding mass graves of Sikhs in India, even now. I want to highlight the case of Block 22, Nagoli number 1 in Delhi, where more than 65 burnt bodies of Sikhs were found recently. And the people who killed those people are also known to the authorities. We cannot forget 84. Because you know why? If you forget it, you forgive them. Do you want to forgive them? No. I didn't hear that. You want to forgive them? No. So make sure we turn up year after year until we get our justice. Our justice is Khalistan, Khalistan, Khalistan. Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa.